Welcome to the Health Revolution, the show that leads you to a life of vibrant well-being. In a world full of noisy health trends, we bring you clarity through a sea of fads. We reveal the science behind the strategies that truly work. We explore physical strength, emotional resilience, and mental mastery, the keys to an enriched life. See inspiring interviews with the champions who've conquered life's challenges. Are you ready to unlock your potential to live with vitality and purpose? Then join the Health Revolution. I'm your host, Adriana Morrison, health and fitness expert, speaker, and a mom who understands. Let's embark on this transformative quest together. If you want to change the game, it all starts now. We're excited that you're joining us today. I'm your host, Adriana Morrison, and no matter which way you're tuning into us, please do not forget to hit the subscribe button. We want to stay connected to you. Also, at the bottom of your screen, there is a little tab for show episode notes. Please be mindful of that. You are going to want to tap into some of these reference points that we have for today's episode. Now, for those of you who have been tuning into us and for first-time viewers, we're excited that you're joining us today. It's all about how we elevate our life, the elevating the physical strength, the emotional resilience, and the mental mastery. And so much of that is tied to how we move. Today, I'm excited about our topic. We are going from debt to millions, how to break free from the financial stress that we are feeling. So very many of us, obviously these are turbulent times, but what can we do to break the cycles that are holding us down and creating monumental stress that is tied to our financial future? My guest today, I am excited to talk to this gentleman. Let me tell you, he is a wealth of knowledge, and this conversation is going to fly, and the nuggets are going to be coming. I want you to get to know him. He is going to be teaching us all. First, watch this. Meet Chris Felton, best-selling author, entrepreneur, and financial expert who lost it all, hit rock bottom, and fought his way back to the top. At one point, Chris was $250,000 in debt, on the verge of divorce, and completely stuck. But instead of letting his circumstances define him, he made a decision to own his life, shift his mindset, and create a system for success that turned everything around. Now, he's built a multi-seven-figure business, become one of the top 0.2% financial professionals in the country, and written the life-changing book, Think and Grow You, a no BS guide to getting out of your way, crushing limiting beliefs, and creating real wealth and freedom. This isn't just another financial conversation. It's about getting gritty, getting real, and learning what it takes to rise from the ashes and build the life you were meant to live. Today, we will learn how to break free, take control, and rewrite our financial future. Chris Felton, welcome to the show.
Adriana, this is going to be epic. I'm so excited to be on here with you today.
I'm excited to talk to you, and I thank you so much for this conversation. First of all, getting of our viewers getting a taste of who you are, from debt to millions. Describe for us, what was that like for you, and how rock bottom did it go? Did rock bottom have a basement, and what was that like for you?
Well, the lowest point was I was having a epic fight with my second, current, and last wife, in case she's watching, Marlo. And yeah, we were $250,000 in credit card debt. Recently married. She walked into a marriage that she didn't know anything about that. I just went through an expensive divorce, and I was paying my ex-wife $5,200 a month at the beginning of every month in alimony and child support. And my little kids were in Atlanta. I was in Colorado. I hadn't seen them in a year because I was too broke to go see them. And so the bottoming out was I was out of money, right? I also signed a 6,000 square foot office lease based on one of the worst pieces of financial advice I ever got, which is, oh yeah, man, just get that big office space because if you build it, they will come. They didn't come, and the ones that showed up couldn't pay the rent. So literally, sister, I have about 4 mortgage payments going out every month. I'm out of money. I can't borrow anymore. And so I had to pay my ex-wife the next day that $5,200 in alimony and child support. And the only way I was going to be able to pay her was I had to come home and ask Marlo, my second current and last wife, for the money to pay my ex-wife. That didn't go very well. And so we called it the purse throwing incident, because she not only threw a purse at me once, twice, but 3 times. Her hand-eye coordination is pretty bad, so I was never in any real danger. And she's counting on her fingers, and we're having the fight of our lives, because what she couldn't understand was, how could a financial advisor and a CPA, educated, telling people what to do with their money, how could this dude be $250,000 in credit card debt? And as we're fighting, and I call it Hurricane Marlo's no fun, right? She's about 5'1". Everyone's scared of her. I just said, well, why are we still married? And she went upstairs to answer that question for the rest of the night. And there I was, standing there, and all I could really see were just these dominoes falling in my life. And the first one was actually my ex-wife. She was the first domino, because I blamed her for a lot of the problems financially. But what I realized was she never really had a chance, because I expected that marriage to fail. And one of the quotes I kind of live by, and your viewers should weigh in on this, is, you don't get what you hope for, you get what you expect. And most people hope positive, but they expect negative. And so the reason I say she never had a chance is because I was expecting the marriage to fail. My kids, where's dad's turning into who is dad? I'm drinking a bunch at that time. The financial stress is physically impacting my wife. And what I realized was, the common theme and the common denominator to all those messes was me. And if you've ever realized, wherever you have a problem, you're always there. And I had to quit living in hopium, which is where a lot of people live, unfortunately. They're hoping the outside world will change while they insist on remaining the same. And I call that rearranging the furniture on the deck of the Titanic, because it doesn't really matter what you do to the deck furniture, the boat's going down. And in that moment, I had to take 100% responsibility for the mess that was my life. And that's what I did.
What was the turning point? When did you decide, I've got to say something? Because obviously I can only imagine just the avoidance of, I don't want to deal with this right now. What prompted you? What was that moment where you're like, come hell or high water, I have to say something?
Well, I mean, I was just, my back was against the wall. I mean, there was no more retreating. I mean, I couldn't borrow any money. I could no longer just kick the can down the road. Marlo made it pretty clear, like, dude, we gotta get this figured out, or you're gonna have a second alimony payment, right? And so it was just, it was an awakening. And I just believe event plus response equals outcome. And so the event was, the meltdown was happening. The response was, what am I going to do? Am I going to step up to get a different outcome? But I had to do things differently. I could no longer play victim, right? It's so easy to play victim, and could no longer blame my ex-wife. I couldn't blame the economy, because I was an entrepreneur. We're in the Great Recession. I couldn't blame Marla. I couldn't blame anybody but me. And so that 100% responsibility thing, a lot of people talk about it, but the only way you're going to make true change, financially or otherwise, is you got to take 100% responsibility, or nothing's going to change.
Do you remember the verbiage that you used in the thick of things, where you got her attention that you were serious, that that you're taking ownership, and that you truly meant the tides were going to turn, and that you were going to be good on your word?
Yeah, the next day, a couple points I want to point out. Like, nothing happens without my wife. She's amazing. But in her time of stress, it would have been easy for her to exit, but she decided to keep me. And in her time of stress, she focused on what she loved about me, not what she didn't. And I coach a lot of couples, and it's a law around money or anything. What you focus on expands. It is the law. And so what happens is couples are like, "Well, I don't like this, I don't like that." I'm like, "Where are you focusing?" You're focusing on what you don't like, and you're going to get more of it. And so her focusing on what she loved about me broke my self-sabotaging pattern of like, quit trying to fix her and focus on what you love about her. And so she said, we're not getting divorced, we're not declaring bankruptcy, we're not getting jobs, we're going to figure this out. And she went out and interviewed wealthy couples and wrote our first book, Couples Money, based on those interviews and what we applied. But to your question, she's like, what are you going to do? Right? And I'm like, I'm going to figure out how this keeps creating broke. And I'm not interested in changing. I'm committed to changing. And as you know, sister, you train a lot of people. Most people are interested in a great life. And one of the most ridiculous concepts happening in our country today is the belief that you can get something for nothing. And I said, I'm committed. She's like, what do you mean? I'm like, you know how an Olympic athlete treats their sport? That's me. Me around, because I was a financial advisor. I knew what to do with money, but I wasn't doing it. It was a mindset thing. It was a mentality thing. It was a money consciousness thing. I'm like, I'm going to do the work here to shift, and I'm all in. And I'm going to work on it every day. I'm going to get up early, and I'm going to go to the mental gym every day to change our lives. And that's what happened.
So previous to that moment in time, that trajectory point where you, financial advisor, CPA, all of that, is it fair to say that it was just you were guiding others of, yes, do this, do that, but you weren't applying it to you, that you were just do as I say, not as I do type of approach?
Yeah, the cobbler's kids have no shoes, right? I mean, it was, yeah, and it was just it, and it's really, because people come to me, what do we do with the money, and what do we do? And it's my coach is like, what's more important, the golf club or the golf swing? Okay, and I've been an average golfer for like 30 some years, right? I'm looking for the golf club to change my golf life. But you know what it is? It's the golf swing. It's the work on the golf swing. It's hours upon hours upon hours of working. I have no desire to change that, right? So that's why my golf game hasn't changed, even though the clubs have changed. And so a lot of people in my industry talk about the golf clubs, but most people don't go into the golf swing. And the golf swing is beliefs around money. And I wrote a LinkedIn article, several months ago. Why are there so many smart, talented, broke people? Why? Because nobody does the work on the golf swing. And the golf swing is, what do I, in my heart of hearts, really believe about this topic of money?
I love this. You have the turning point. She's in it. So are you. You mentioned you had the 6,000 square foot office space. You had a lot of things. How did you stop the bleeding? What was one of the most immediate things that you did to set the tone, to change the direction that you were going?
We got clear on what we wanted. And I mean, that's like, you're in the world of personal growth and development, basically. Everybody talks about that. Right? Everybody talks about, you got to know what you want. You got to know what your why is. You got to know those things, right? And I'd sit. I mean, we probably sat in the same conferences.
Probably.
Right? Probably somebody's up there going, "Oh, I need to know my why. Oh, God, I got to know my why. Yeah, I'm gonna do that, right? And I got to get to why. And that's brilliant, right? And then I'd leave the conference. I'd have every intention on, it's time to get clear. It's time to know my why. And I walk out of the conference, sister, and a squirrel would run by. And I'd be like, wait, I'm going to go catch that squirrel first, and then I'm going to sit down and figure out what I want, right? As my mentor, the only self-made billionaire I know, he's like, Chris, quit chasing wild asparagus. And the reason I bring that up is, we have these weapons of mass distraction, and we're so busy doing urgent stuff, but almost nobody knows what they want. And so what Marlo and I did is we sat down, and my coach is like, hey, high performers, world-class performers, and you know this, they know why they're doing it. They know the compelling emotional reasons why. Right? Because with what you do, I just need to lose 15, 20 pounds. If there's no why around that, nothing's going to change. And so he's like, you're not going to spreadsheet this thing out, right? People that struggle think goal setting's logical, and the high performers know it's emotional. And so Marlo and I sat down. It's one of the best goals we ever set. And I'm like, what do you want? She's like, I want $100,000 saved. I'm like, oh. We got nothing. And it doesn't matter. I'm like, why is that important? She's like, it physically is impacting me. I can't live like this. Why do you want it? I'm like, it hurts me to know that I'm not delivering for you. I got to see my kids. I got to be an example. I think we're being handed something that is going to help millions of people. And so we stayed there for an hour. Why? Because you're in Colorado. If you're trying to go from Denver to Aspen and you have a Lamborghini, that car's useless if it's not fueled. And so a lot of people have a Lamborghini, but it's not fueled with their reasons. And so that was a turning point, sister, is we got totally sold. We sold out 100% to saving money and getting after it.
So then obviously to commit to that, what was one of the first things that you did that obviously ripping the Band-Aid off, where you changed, whether it was spending habits, downsizing? What was the one thing that you did that was really, that just drove the point home, that's 1, step 5, and so forth, so on?
Well, it's just clearing on the goal, but it was a weekly accountability meeting between me and my wife, and we set a unifying couples goal, a unifying marriage goal. Most couples don't know what the other one wants. We set a goal, and it was all about taking that big goal and chunking it down, right? So we were like, okay, 100,000, we've never saved more than 10 grand. Right. Let's get focused on what we need to do to save the first 10,000. Because if you stand at base camp looking up at Mount Everest, it's a little daunting. But let's get focused on base camp 1. And so it was about going there, and then it was about we went on a cash diet. You could not get us to spend money on stupid stuff, eating out. We went 90 days eating what was in the pantry that had been there for years, right? You could not get us to spend $1 that wasn't moving us closer to that goal. And then we had a weekly accountability meeting. Did we move closer to it, further away from it? And if we didn't, what was the course correction that we had to make?
And I can imagine that sometimes it might be tempting to, oh, look, this is on sale, or, oh no, look at that. And so shiny object syndrome. That's happening, whether you or her or both, or, Christmas time, or, look at this. How did you, what was the one thing that helped you all just keep it focused, eyes on the prize, blinders on?
Well, the weekly accountability meeting, but spending that time up front for an hour, knowing why we wanted it, you could not get me to waste $1 because we were so emotionally bought into why it was time to change our lives. So the compelling emotional reasons was huge. The weekly accountability, knowing if I spend this, I got to go be accountable to her on it. Those two components changed our trajectory forever.
We've got a lot to cover. And first, we got to take a commercial break. Stay put. We are coming back.
So in the calm bag, it has GABA, theanine, and taurine. So theanine, which is B1, which is also in our B complex, but it also helps with the stress response levels. It also helps with the neurological transmitters in our brain, combined with the GABA, and then you add taurine to it. Taurine is a non-essential amino acid in our body, but it's found in our heart, our brain, and our eyes. So in my personal opinion, it's very essential in our lives. But taurine has a calming effect as well. When I was battling all my AFib issues, I was taking high doses of taurine because that would help with my AFib. It would help with the palpitations I was having. And it also helped with the anxiety of having the palpitations because I knew what was going on, and so taurine helps a lot with that as well. So those three together create such a wonderful concoction that just really just calms people down.
Introducing Launchpad, the perfect partner to help you launch your dream project to the world. We know that time is of the essence, and we're here to help you make the most of it. With Launchpad, you'll get access to the most advanced digital tools and strategies to take your idea from a mere concept to a fully fledged success. Whether you're an aspiring entrepreneur or a seasoned pro, we have everything you need to make your mark in the world. Launchpad, your ultimate launch partner.
How to break free from financial stress. Our guest today, he is packed with those nuggets. Chris Felton, he's a financial expert, speaker, author, and we are learning quite the incredible story, his life story of going from $250,000 in credit card debt to where he is today, which is far from that financial success and all of that. And Chris, I before the break, there's so many things that I want to ask you, of course, but now my mind goes to, before we get into your book, because I can't wait to dive into that, but my mind goes into how did you tackle, what were the first components of tackling $250,000 in credit card debt with compounding interest and all of that? How do you have an axe, you're going to chop down that sequoia tree, and how did you gain the traction to continue to propel forward and make major headway?
Yeah, I mean, it was because there are a lot of financial experts that are like, pay down debt, pay down your debt, pay down your debt, pay down your debt, pay down your debt. And through Marlo's interviews for our book, Couples Money, a couple that mentored us for years said, you got to prove you can save money. And you got to get your money to a level of savings so that you will never go back into debt. And he said you can either fix debt or create wealth. There were just some subtle things that shifted my belief systems, because I was focusing on fixing debt, fixing debt, fixing debt, fixing debt, fixing debt. And what you focus on expands. Now, and I'm not saying you don't be an ostrich to debt, right? But it's like fixing debt, creating wealth, that was different, right? That was actually energizing for me. And so, and once again, didn't happen without Marlo. I mean, we inventoried the debt, we got the balances, we got the interest rates. I mean, we got all that stuff. We managed, how high those rates were, but we got psycho focused on saving money, and just learning to have a healthy respect for money, right? Because most people don't have a respect for money. And that's one of the things we learned in her interviews was every dollar is important. But people that are broke are like, oh, it's just $5. Oh, it's just $10. That was me. Oh, it's just 20. Oh, it's just 30. Money's a relationship. Right? You would never just go to oh, it's just my husband. You would never do that. Right? It's not. And one of my friends said, if money was your friend, would money hang out with you? Well, right. I mean, you appreciate it, right? All dollars are important. Marla used to be in property management, decades ago. And she'd go into homes where she had to evict people, and there'd be change everywhere, loose change everywhere. disrespect for change, disrespect for money. It's not the love of money, but it's a respect of money. And so it was really about creating wealth, watching all dollars, being intentional, being focused, accountability meetings, um, and just getting after it, and just one small step at a time, right? That's how you do it. It's success is small things cared for, compounded over a period of time. So it was, really about that.
You mentioned the lack of respect for money is what you had. What other limiting beliefs did you have back then that you no longer hold on to that impacted your relationship with money?
Yeah, it was one of the, so I hired a coach for 4.5 years who was financially independent, right? Everybody wanted to coach me, but I'm like, are you financially independent? And they're like, no. I'm like, well, it's kind of like you, right? I mean, I'd go to you to get my butt in shape, right? Because you looked the part. He was financially independent. And he said to me, sister, he said, you don't have a money problem anymore. You have a money project. Subtle thing. Projects are differently viewed. We viewed projects differently than problems. And so the first exercise he had me do is he said, hey, get a green money journal. I want you to write the word money down, and your viewers need to do this. Unbelievable. Write the word money down. Spend about an hour doing this and write down everything you make up about that word. So for me, this is answering your question on limiting beliefs. Money, hard to make. Most people have some hard thing going on. Hard to make, hard to save, hard to keep. Right? A lot of entrepreneurs have this hard money thing. Rich people are crooks. My dad told me that. I never questioned that. I was a little kid. Right? We buy our parents stuff, get their love, good, bad, or indifferent. My mom said, money, you either have it or you don't. Like, there's no choice, right? My dad said, wealthy people make money on the backs of poor people. And so, and it's listed in my book. I write down all my limiting beliefs, and I'm like, I finally met the enemy, me. And so, for me, taking what's in here and putting it on paper and going, I did this at 37. It took me 37 years to do this exercise. Some people go their entire lives and never did the exercise. But to sit there and look at that and say, there's no way I was ever going to get wealthy because of these beliefs. It's like running a marathon with a 20-pound bowling ball. It's almost impossible. And unfortunately, most people have limiting beliefs around money because well over 90% of people in the United States retire broke. We live in the richest country on the planet. Why is that?
You know that there's three areas in life where society seem to there's this colossal tug of war. It's health, wealth, and relationships. And obviously wealth just I mean it's smack dab right there in the center. You know, I want to transition into your book. Obviously, this is not the only book that you've written, but I want to bring it up for our viewers. Think and Grow You. This is quite the incredible book. Can you talk a little bit about the moment in which you decided, pen to pad, we're going forward with the green lighting this book? Who is it for, and the types of nuggets we can expect from a book like this?
Yeah, it was one of my mentors, a guy named Steve Siebold, reached out to me. He's had a ton of success, sold millions of books, spoken all over the world, and he's like, I've heard you speak for years, man. You got to write your book, And he's like, I'll help you do it. And so, and he said, we're going to write this book a little bit different because the way most people write books is they just kind of throw things out there and it's in chapter mode and all that. And he said, I want you to write your 50 best stories of transformation. And so that's what we did for about 2 months. I wrote the 50 stories, and then we created content around it. But it's written in, there's 50 concepts, but it's all about page and a half, easy to read, simple to read, 200 to 300 words of, okay, here's some instruction, but then here's a, quote, here's a resource I use to change, and then here's an action step I change at the end at each chapter. And then behind that is really my personal story of, hey, I was kind of an idiot, not kind of an idiot. I was an idiot. I woke up to being an idiot. I decided to make some changes in my life. I did these things and I got this result. And so I just feel, Adriana, like people are more stuck than ever. And I totally empathize with it because I know what, God, I know what it feels like when you feel like you're doing everything and nothing changes, right? It's like Groundhog Day, right? You're like Bill Murray in Groundhog Day. And I also know what it feels like to just get so stuck that you feel like giving up.
When I think about your book, and I love how you have these components. What are some of the not so obvious nuggets that really hit home that we as a society haven't gotten yet? What are some takeaways that you share that it's of course could be Captain Obvious if we paid attention to it, but we're not paying attention to it?
Yeah, a lot of organizations have me come in and talk about money, right? And a story I share every time is, so I hired my coach. We worked together for 4.5 years. And so I hired him to coach me on how to double my income, right? Because we really had to double our income just to get back to even, okay? And then to hold me accountable on getting this $100,000 saved, okay? So those are the two things. And so I'm a CPA, right? So I'm looking for the strategery, right? Like, what's the strategery? Like, what's the left brain stuff? And so we end our first meeting and he said, I got a homework assignment for you. And I'm like, oh, goody, homework, right? CPA, kind of a dork. And he said, I want you to forgive your ex-wife. Wait. You want me to do what? He's like, I want you to forgive your ex-wife. I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm like, dude, she's horrible. Like, I told you, like, she's part of the problem, blah, blah, blah. He said, man, if you don't forgive her, you are going to be a broke joke your entire life. And I would fight him. And then he'd ask this question, sister. He said, based on your results, how's your way working? Ugh, gut punch. Time to get humble. Time to listen. He said, you got to do it or you'll never get wealthy. And I'm like, okay, I believe you. How do I do it? He said, when we're done, I want you to grab a pad of paper. I want you to write her name at the top. And I want you to write down everything you appreciate about her. And I want you to do it every day. And you'll know when you won't need to anymore. But do it every day. And so we hung up, grabbed a pad of paper, wrote her name at the top. And I've never stared at a blank piece of paper for an hour. And I was like, OMG. Because sister, it's not time management, it's energy management. And I had this massive energy, right? This leak of resentment. And at the top of the hour, I had nothing on the page. And so then I wrote, she's a great mom. She is. And then the next day, I found another thing. And then the next day, I found another thing and another thing, another thing. And about 3 weeks, I'd list about 8 or 10 things I appreciated about her. I'd be on a run. I'd roll through the list, right? Driving in the car. And what happened, Adriana, was my whole perception of her shifted. And it literally transformed my world, her world, We never had the like, I forgive you conversation. But you and I could do a whole show on the miracles, and my kids are now 23 and 20, like the blessings that have flowed from that exercise and me forgiving her could fill a whole book. And so that is not the obvious thing. And when I go in to talk to organizations, I'll hit 6, 7 points. I'll come off stage. People will be like, lined up to talk to you. And they're like, wait, what? You're telling me I need to forgive dad, mom, ex-wife, whatever. And I'm like, I don't know, man, based on results, how's your way working? And that's the question everybody always asks me is, are you telling me the reason I'm challenged with money and life is I haven't forgiven?
You know,
People
that's,
stink at it. They stink at it.
you know, that's huge. Well, and that is so profound how you say, because, and I, when I think back to my first marriage and going through the divorce process, you know, I had to come to a point where, you know, yeah, I had to forgive my ex-husband because we were not each other's fit. So when I think of why we didn't succeed, you know, I couldn't carry that into my marriage today. And I wouldn't have the mindset that, or the relationship with my husband, if I didn't go through that. You know, what would you say to couples where one person is just, you know, can't see where it can grow to address the money matters? Say you've got someone who's really open to learning and growing and ownership, and one that's like arms are crossed, you know, fingers in the ears going, no, I'm not, you can't, I'm fine, everything is fine. What would you say to those couples?
Yeah, I mean, it can be, you know, a challenge, but I think it's important to communicate to each other what the other one wants. And so all relationships are ruined because of a gap in expectations. That's it. And my first marriage wasn't good because she had what she wanted and I had what I wanted, and we never communicated that with each other. Both of us were right, and there was just this big gap in expectations. And so understanding what the other person wants is first and well, you got to know what you want. You got to spend the time, and then you got to come together and talk about that, and then what you want as a couple. And so if there's enough conversation around clarity and reasons why, right? And everything we do in life, we're hoping to obtain a feeling. And what's the feeling we want? Marlo and I wanted relief, financial relief. Then people will change. But if you don't know what you want, you don't know what each other wants, it's tough to have any change.
We've got so much more to cover. Time is flying. We're going to take a commercial break. Stay put. Thank you so much for watching The Health Revolution. Our show is growing, and it's all thanks to viewers like you. No matter how you found us, please hit the subscribe button so we can stay connected and continue to deliver amazing content to you. Hi, I'm Adriana, and welcome to Fit Bites. Today, let's talk about stress and how it can wreak havoc on your body if it's left unmanaged. Now, when you're stressed, your body releases cortisol, a hormone designed to help you handle short-term challenges. But when stress becomes chronic, those elevated cortisol levels can cause some serious damage. High cortisol over time can lead to weight gain, especially around the abdomen, weaken your immune system, disrupt your sleep, and even contribute to anxiety and depression. It can also increase your risk of high blood pressure, heart disease, and even cognitive decline. This is why managing stress isn't just about feeling better, it's essential for your overall health. Start with simple strategies like deep breathing, meditation, or yoga to help calm your nervous system. Physical activity is another powerful tool to lower cortisol and improve your mood. And don't forget to prioritize quality sleep. Your body repairs itself when you rest. Now, finally, make time for things that bring you joy. Whether it's spending time with loved ones, journaling, pursuing a hobby, things like that. Managing stress is all about taking small, proactive steps every day for your body and your mind. Stay calm, stay proactive, and stay tuned for more Fit Bites with Adriana. We're spending quality time with our guest today, Chris Felton. He's a financial expert, speaker, author. It's all about going from debt to millions, how to break free from financial stress, and those type of parameters that we have in place where we feel like we just can't financially get ahead. We are learning all the answers today. Chris, as you were talking before the break, I was very riveted with just some of the touch points on communication and clarity, and how those are the building blocks in so many how that is so important for relationships in general, especially in marriage. So my question to you is, how does one go from survival mode to wealth building mode if they're trying to pump the brakes, stop the bleeding? What helps them to have that turning point? What would you say to those who feel like, that's great, but I'm just like free falling and I don't know what's going to happen next?
Yeah, I think it's important. Like I said, coaching, mentoring. People come to you because they want to change their health life, right? And if they knew how to, they would already be living the results. So I think finding coach, mentor, advisor, somebody that can help, right? Because one of the things is we don't see our blind spots, and we don't know. And once again, somebody that's living the results. Okay, I could listen to my coach because I'm like, are you financially free? He was in his late 70s at that time. He's like, I've been financially independent since I was 42, right? So because he was living the results, I could listen to him. So I think coaching and mentoring is everything. And I think that's, getting after it. Getting introductions, referrals, asking your network. I really think that's the first step. And just making forward movement. And then I think the second thing was, brainstorming on how can you bring more income into your home? Because I think people are like, this is what I do. This is how much I make. And they just live in that. But Marla and I had to sit down and think about other ways that we could bring more money into our homes. Some of the ideas were dumb, but that's what brainstorming is. Not all the ideas are good, but a couple things popped up that resonated with us. And so what happens is, people they don't do the hardest work on the planet, which is actually thinking, right? And sitting down with a pad of paper in a nice place that you like to be at, and writing down what's going on and doing the hard work of thinking. It's unbelievable what will come through you. But if you don't do that, you don't schedule time. I always say, if you want to change your life, schedule it.
Absolutely. You talk about coach and mentor. Obviously, you wear that hat, and you have spoken in front of many, many people. You've spoken in different spaces. You've held stages, and I want to just hold space for that speaker role that you play. And you've got some events coming up. I do want to share with our viewers one little highlight reel that just emphasizes the speaker role. So everyone, take a look at this.
Please give it up for Chris Felton.
I know what it's like to live in fear, doubt, and worry. I also know what it feels like
to be doing everything possible and nothing changes. It's such a frustrating place to live from.
But you know how it is. You do something new, you start overthinking. Overthinking always masks fear. You start having doubts. You start wondering if this thing's going to work. The problem with dreams is if you don't do anything about them, those dreams won't come true. If it's not us, then who? If not now, then when? It's right now. You got to get the mission in your hearts. In your hearts.
He's approachable. He gives you practical information. And I tell you what, he's also funny. Highly recommended.
My mission on this planet is to help people get out of their own way, get unstuck, get on the path to their goals, dreams, and aspirations, and living the life that they deserve.
I love that energy. Obviously, you've got that highlights what you do, that hat you wear speaking on stages. And I just want to hold space. You've got an event coming up and want to share with everyone what this event looks like. And so we have a slide talking about Beyond Impossible. Talk a little bit about what's going on. What is this event happening May 2nd to May 4th?
Yeah, it's going to be a live stream from Canada, just north of Niagara Falls there. And you can see it says your Goliath awaits. Will you step up? And we believe that people are facing Goliaths, whether it's in their money situation, their relationships, their health, their spirituality, whatever. And so I formed, we kind of call ourselves the Avengers of Speaking, right? But we got these incredible people together that have faced that Goliath, right? And faced their fears down, conquered that Goliath. And we want to help people, kind of step up, right? And get out of their comfort zones and give them, actionable steps to change their lives. And so this is the first of what I believe will be pretty big ongoing quarterly event across the United States. We got our facility identified for the fall in Dallas, Texas, but we're just super excited to help people get out of their own way and face their Goliaths and stare down their fears and conquer Goliath and to live the life that they deserve. So excited about it. So the virtual ticket's like $70. Like it's a joke. We want it to be affordable so that people can tune in. So
now I notice it's all men on stage. Now is the message geared towards men, towards everyone? Is there a portion of your message that is really driving the point home for men, or what is?
Yeah, I mean, it's men. We kind of feel like a lot of them just they don't fess up. They don't communicate what's going on, right? Men suicide rates an all-time high. Like it's just we're reaching out to them, but surprisingly, sister, we've got a lot of women with men that they're concerned about that have registered already.
Yes.
So they will benefit as well. But yeah, we really want to reach out and help.
And we put the QR code for our viewers to grab super quick. That way you can get more information on the website where you can register for this event May 2nd, May 4th. May 2nd to May 4th. We're going to take a quick commercial break. We will be right back. free from financial stress. Our guest today, powerhouse financial expert, speaker, author Chris Felton. This is the time has been flying. Chris, where can we find you in the virtual space?
Yeah, so probably the main place is my website, chrisfelton.me. So, and if you want to have a direct conversation with me, you can find it, send a message. I respond to all messages because I'm excited. I'm excited to share this message and help people. So that's probably the first and foremost place you can get a hold of me directly.
How about social media? Where else are you on different social media platforms?
Yeah. So we're on Instagram, we're on LinkedIn, we're on Facebook. So Instagram at Chris_TGY. So I post there several times a week. Facebook at Chris.Felton.503. That's my public domain. And then LinkedIn, CH Felton-author-speaker. And I post a lot there and interact with a lot of, different business owners and entrepreneurs there as well.
And what do you have going on for the remainder of 2025? You've got you've got your event May 2nd through May 4th. What else is taking place or that you expect to take place in this calendar year?
Yeah, I'm always doing a lot of right now. A lot of virtual events, a lot of virtual speaking. Seems to be more popular than ever. But really, that Beyond Impossible, that is, I'm super excited about that because we brought that together with like, hey, what are we doing here? And it's exploded with energy and enthusiasm. People are excited. We got 50 podcasts. Episodes done. We'll be launching a podcast on that. So my focus is really to drive that, as well as I'm speaking to different mortgage companies and real estate companies and people kind of in direct sales. My message resonates. So packed calendar of great things happening.
What is the one takeaway you want to make sure our viewers get from today? The one big drive the point home message?
That, if you want to change your life, you're going to have to do the work, which I think everybody's heard. But I think where people struggle is they don't understand that the work is worth it. And I've been in the habit of talking to successful people for many years, and I always ask them, is it worth it? And every one of them is like, yeah, it's worth it. To live the life that they live currently, to do the work every second is worth it. And so, because I think some people are like, well, if I do the work and what if it doesn't turn out and I wasted all that time? No. There's no wasted time when you're growing and developing you. It's definitely worth it.
This has been such a delight to talk to you. And, as you could tell, my face, I can't hide it. Chris Felton, financial expert, speaker, author. Thank you so much for sharing your time, your energy, and your knowledge. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It was awesome. I always appreciate you and what you do.
And so we want to give a quick shout out to our sponsors for sponsoring our show. Shout out to Biomed Mobile IV, Dapper Mobile Apps, Launchpad, and Synergize Fitness. For our viewers, you can find us on the web. Our website is thehealthrevolutiontv.com. There you can find information about upcoming events. You can subscribe to our newsletter. You can even email us with any show episode ideas you would love for us to cover. Upper corner of your screen, you will find our QR code. If that's easier for you to grab, feel free to do so. And then as what you can depend on, you can count for us to be available to you. We are here on E360 TV every Tuesday and Thursday, 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern, and on exponential distribution channels as we continue to grow. That is all the time that we have for today. Until next time, take care of yourselves. We will see you soon.